We're teaching ourselves, yes, have a plan, but what about when that plan changes? What about when we don't meet that plan? How do we regulate ourselves when the purpose that we thought that we were put on this earth to do is no longer the same thing? When we constantly plan, there is benefit to the planning and not just letting everything go awry, of course. But let's explore the counter thought of that. What if we just say, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have an idea of what I may want. But what happens when we step back and say, I don't know. I just literally don't know. What do we pave the way for? What have we now cleared the path for to come through, because we've admitted to ourselves on a deep psychological level that we just don't know. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Meditation Matters podcast. I'm your host, Nayo, and we have another one here for our Scripted World segment, talking about disruptive thinking, but not just in a I'm trying to disrupt everything for no reason, but really just trying to challenge some of our beliefs and reflect on this hyperfixation on always having everything figured out all the time. So what happens when your plan goes awry? Are you okay with the unknown? How can the unknown disrupt your life? But then how can you allow yourself to be okay with that level of disruption as you continue to allow things to work out for your best and highest good? These are some of the things that we explore in today's episode, so buckle up and let's go ahead and dive in. In exploring infinite potentiality, or the infinite possibilities that could happen in our lives, I'm reminded that it's totally okay if I don't know what's going to happen next in my life, in a situation, whatever it is, it's totally okay. And in recent discussions with friends and family, it's like, so much of, at least from personal experience, but I'm coming from American culture, is, you're basically like planning your life from the very beginning. Even when you're in grade school, they have career day, and someone comes in and is like, oh, I do this, which is awesome. That's really amazing. You show kids all the different possibilities that are possible from a young age. You could be an astronaut, you could be a firefighter, you could be all these different things. And then we start asking kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, wow. That introduction of immediately planning for the next 30, 40, 50, 60, some odd years of your life. We're teaching ourselves, yes, have a plan, but what about when that plan changes? What about when we don't meet that plan? How do we regulate ourselves when the purpose that we thought that we were put on this earth to do is no longer the same thing? My mom recently told me something about assignments. She sees her life as she has an overarching mission, and then she has a vision that helps her to conceptualize that mission. And then she just goes about through different assignments. So maybe for some period of time, she's assigned to work in this capacity of her vision or her mission. And then she switches jobs and works in a different capacity. It's maybe a completely different role, but still somehow, shape, or form, it falls in line with the path of her vision. Now, of course, this is more of like a narrow aspect of what she wants out of her life or what she thinks she's meant to do out of her life. But she opens up the how it happens to an infinite potential, saying, okay, I feel that I'm meant to do this for right now. And then eventually she's like, okay, this new opportunity has come along. This feels very aligning. I'm going to go to this next assignment. So instead of saying, I guess you could say the mission and the vision that she has for herself is kind of like her perceived purpose. This possibly could be interchangeable. But how she goes about fulfilling that mission or experiencing that mission is infinite. And I think something else that's good to explore around this whole aspect of constantly planning our lives is that when we constantly plan, there is benefit to the planning and not just letting everything go awry, of course. But let's explore the counter thought of that. What if we just say, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have an idea of what I may want. But what happens when we step back and say, I don't know. I just literally don't know. What do we pave the way for? What have we now cleared the path for to come through, because we've admitted to ourselves on a deep psychological level that we just don't know. And I think as much as it's a beautiful thing to teach kids and teach ourselves to plan and be vigilant about planning and be ambitious, but also to be all these different things, right? It's also extremely important to say, we're not always going to know though. So we're planning because we want to have an idea of where we're going. But the truth of it is I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen next. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes of my relationship. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes of my job. I have an idea. I have a set plan. I have a concept. I have a desire. But do I really know what's going to happen next? The answer to that is no. Now, of course, you can have instances where you have premonitions, right? Or prophetic dreams. Or you might have inklings right before something happens, and then it literally happens. You're like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. That actually happened to me the other day. I'm walking to the bar that I work at, and I have this thought comes to mind. It's like, oh, what if I see somebody while I'm walking, and they yell at the car at me like, hey, what's up, Nayo? And it was funny because it literally happened within 2 minutes later, but it wasn't directed towards me. It was someone else yelling out of the car, hey, Quentin. And I was like, oh my God. Slightly different capacity in which it happened, but I had this whole inkling, and it was crazy because I was like, why am I thinking about this right now? And then boom, it happens. So I was like, but stuff like this happens sometimes. Sometimes I have things that come to me right before they happen, or days before they happen, or months before they happen, and then they happen, and then I have like this deja vu moment. So yeah, we can have insights into the timeline, but there's also a lot of the other times where I have no idea what's going on. And up until that timeline, honestly, I still don't really know what's going on. I don't know. Because I can have a premonition or an idea or feeling about something, and then that end result, that feeling could change. That thing that I feel that is about to happen could not happen if feelings, thoughts, perspectives, goals, desires shift before that thing even comes to about. But there's a lot of times where no, it simply happens because everything is happening on the timeline the way it was going to happen. But then there's infinite potential of all the things that could happen. And like I said, I'm not against planning. I literally got a degree as a planner. So we were crafting like regional and neighborhood plans 50, 100 years in advance, 10, 25, whatever. So there is a goal to having an idea, to having an overall vision to the mission. But sometimes we just literally don't know. And right now, I'm reminded that I have no idea what's going on right now. I don't know what's going on in my life. And as much as that panics me, it's also quite reassuring. Because if I'm reflecting on the teachings of infinite potential, and if I'm coming and creating from a place of love, which I've been practicing in meditation for the past few weeks, I create everything from a place of love meditation. I feel everything from a place. It's just like a very love-oriented, love-generating aspect of myself. Like everything that I do see, be is from a place of love. If I remember these two things, that there's infinite potential, and that if I open myself up, starting with just my thinking, with my ideation, to infinite potentials, that anything could happen. That allows me to think in a completely different way. There are times where very conventional and linear thinking are exactly what needs to happen. But there's other times where we need to completely disrupt the pathway and embrace disruptive thinking, unconventional thinking, creative thinking. We need to abstract thinking. We need to create space for other things to come in. So sometimes we need to sit back and say, I have no idea what's going on here. I don't know what to do. I have no idea. And when you really begin to repeat, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I do not know. The panic comes first, but then the peace comes. Because now there's space for something else to come. that isn't always so detailed. And so it has to happen this way. Because we all know how we get when it doesn't happen that way. When it doesn't happen the way that we wanted it to happen, it can be traumatizing. It can be very off-kiltering. Our nervous system can go out of whack. Now we're stressed out. Yeah, of course, for some of us, that's not the case. We're like, oh, it didn't happen that way. That's fine. Redirection is a great thing for me. But for a lot of us, what? It didn't happen the way that I thought it was going to happen? Everything's wrong. I did something wrong. Had to be. What if that wasn't the case, though? What if you didn't do anything wrong? And what if it's okay that it just didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out? Because you really don't know how it's going to go. Yeah, we can do our best to craft our day as detailed as possible. We can reflect on our day as detailed as possible. We can practice these beautiful practices of scripting and crafting and manifesting and attracting. These are all beautiful things. But also, do we ever allow ourselves to simply not know? Or are we so addicted to trying to craft our reality and script our reality all the time so that we feel some level of comfort? I know I've created this new blog called Scripted Worlds where we're scripting new worlds, right? But there's another part to exactly what I'm doing here in this new blog and podcast segment. It's to challenge the beliefs, to embrace unconventional and disruptive thinking, and also to create new worlds. We can create new worlds from a disruptive place. It allows us to go off the path and explore something new. It opens us up to something new, out of the box thinking, being, living, experiencing, ideating, doing, behaving. We live in a world where it is the time for us to explore something and be disruptive is now. From climate change to political upheaval to social contracts and cultural changes, the time to be disruptive is now. But how? What's the how? It's infinite. The how is infinite. And this is where getting back to having a mission and a vision could be useful. You say, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to do this. That's okay. Do you know the why? I don't even know the why. That's okay. It'll all come. Oh, I thought I knew the why. That's okay. It'll all come. Creating space for the things that are meant to come in, to be there, to make sense. That's part of the I don't know. Because I don't know. But I'm willing to know. I'm willing to receive the information that's meant to be there. So, I urge you. Are you okay with not knowing? Can you embrace the discomfort and gradual comfort of the unknown? Can you be friends with not knowing? And can you also be friends with knowing something new, something out of box, something unconventional, something completely disruptive to your thinking pattern, to your doing pattern, to your lifestyle? And are you willing to embrace not only the unknown and the knowns, but the dance that they play together in the journey of accepting that you don't always know and that it's okay to fall into the abyss of the unknown, to then embrace a new known? Ask yourself these questions and see where it takes you. See you next time.